All right, folks, this is the White House Brief, early brief, big talker segment. I'm your host, Paul Westcott, and this is, of course, where I give myself 5 minutes or less to talk about one of my favorite stories of the day, or least favorite in today's case. So let's get right into it, and I have to say, I know a lot of you are going to roll your eyes, because I'm going to say 60 Minutes. I watched it last night. I watched it Sunday, and it was very good. And they did a very good spot, I have to say, on the Medicare crisis in this country. And it's really not a crisis with the program so much, although there certainly is a crisis with that program. They more focused on the fraud aspect. Now, you have to guess, how much do you think is stolen from you, the taxpayer, each year? And I'm not talking about the taxes you don't want to pay, or I don't want to pay either, but really actually being stolen by criminals. Well, it turns out it's around $60 billion a year. $60 billion a year. Taken from the Medicare program by individuals who are not doctors, who are not medical professionals, who are not in any medical-related field, but who know how to navigate the immense bureaucracy that currently is the Medicare program in this country. And how many officers would you say we have on the ground? Let's say South Florida. How many officers would you think we have on the ground in the retirement capital of the universe to track Medicare fraud? Thousands? Tens of thousands? No, 3 in South Florida. 3 to recover billions of dollars just from South Florida. And the 60 Minutes reporter, Steve Kroft, actually did a really good job at breaking all this down. And it all led to the idea that how can we grow this bureaucracy more when we can't control what we already have? I mean, they fell short of actually saying that on 60 Minutes, and I don't blame them. They want to remain opinion-free. They are without opinion or thought, but it just kept leading the road, kept saying, you can't go with another public option. You can't create another massive government bureaucracy. It just won't work. And, you know, Steve Kroft spoke to a woman named Cara Mahoney about her interactions with the government bureaucracy known as Medicare.
Mahoney, who says she hasn't been sick in 30 years, began calling Medicare to tell them that someone was ripping them off. But the only responses she received were letters saying that someone was looking into it. The bogus charges are still turning up on her statements.
And I continued to report, and I kept saying, can't you flag my account? You know, I'm not getting any equipment or supplies, nothing.
So how many years have they been looking at it?
6 years.
6 years. They've been looking at it. 6 years. This government bureaucracy has been looking into hundreds of thousands of dollars in charges to one little old lady in Florida. 6 years. And they just say, well, nothing we can do about it. Sorry. And she keeps sending letters and doing everything she can to try to prevent. This woman hasn't been sick, and she's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's too easy. It's too easy, and all you have to learn is a very complex bureaucratic system. But once you know it, once you know the paperwork, and what was the administrator's response to all of this? And Steve Kroft went there, and he spoke to her, saying, well, what do you say to this? You guys haven't done a good job at covering this. Well, she said, we're just understaffed. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough of a budget. There's not enough willingness to step up enforcement, so we can't do it. We do what we can, but some of it slips through the cracks. $60 billion slips through the cracks. And I don't even necessarily blame her. This woman, I can't remember her name, but the woman who runs the Medicare Enforcement Division, who looks into these cases of fraud and waste. $60 billion. And they have no answers. And they can't call a little old lady back who has hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, you know, my anger originally was at, of course, the criminals, and it still is. You know, the criminals, the people who are ripping off not only individuals, you know, one at a time, but also the taxpayers at a whole. But it's really with the government for creating a program, for creating a bureaucracy, but, of course, underfunding it. And now it leads you to say, well, what if they create a new bureaucracy? What if they create, I don't know, a Medicare Part E? What if they create a public option? What if they create a single-payer system, which they all seem to want? We had that on the weekend show. Everyone seems to be in favor among the Democratic Progressive Caucus and the Obama administration, not to mention Kathleen Sebelius, not to mention all the liberal talkers in America, are saying, yep, that's what we need eventually. This is a good first step, but we really need that full federalized system. We've been saying this all along. We've been saying you can't create a bureaucracy to be controlled by government morons. These people don't know how to run anything, let alone your health care, the most personal thing in your life aside from your family and religion. I can't imagine anything more personal than your body and how your body's being treated. And what they want to do is create more bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy. 6 years after she's trying to help them out. She's trying to say, you're wasting all this money. What are you doing? I'm fine. Why am I receiving random medical supplies in the mail every week? She's afraid to open her mail because she knows it's going to be some other random medical supply. Ripping you, the taxpayer, off. That's why we can't, I don't see any road or any way or any reasoning to get to this public option socialized medicine system that all the Democrats seem to want. It seems dangerous. It seems out of control. And I don't know. I don't know how, even on 60 Minutes, they were like, well, we can't expand any programs here. And the Medicare workers are excited. They know that it's going to be expanded. They're going to get a bigger role in this government, and it's going to be exciting. And they're just going to be doling out the bucks to everybody because soon everybody's going to be allowed to be on Medicare. I mean, that's the ultimate idea of any of these bills right now, is to really, the healthcare bills, trying to drive up the amount of people who are on these programs. I don't know. It seems like a dangerous precedent, if you ask me. Well, we're going to get into a whole lot more of this on today's afternoon brief. And if you want more of it right now, check us out online, allpoliticsradio.com. I'm your host, Paul Westcott. We'll be right back with more Early Brief